hybridization. Once again, if you remember, when sp hybrid orbital was involved in bonding, or there were some electrons which were actually in sp hybrid orbital, and we will need them in further bonding. That makes the carbon monoxide able to couple with metals which are actually stable under ordinary conditions, and carbon monoxide is also stable under ordinary condition. So this we have to need again and again. This was p orbit, p subshell of oxygen and p subshell of carbon, where actually two electrons are present in subshell of carbon and four electrons are present in subshell of oxygen. When they overlap with each other, so there were three bonds as a result of overlapping of these bonds, and the bonding between carbon and oxygen was explained that this is actually a triple bond, because here the bond order given by this overlapping is 3. Now we have to consider the basic concepts of molecular orbital theory. And we know that whenever atomic orbitals combine with each other, they give molecular orbitals. So these are actually molecular orbitals. And molecular orbitals are of two types. One are those which have lower energy than the parent atomic orbitals. They are called actually bonding molecular orbitals, and those which have higher energy than the parent atomic orbitals, they are called anti-bonding molecular orbitals. So bonding molecular orbital and anti-bonding molecular orbitals collectively they are equal to the number of atomic orbitals. Here we have three orbitals in subshell of oxygen and three orbital in subshell of carbon. So 3 plus 3 makes 6, and here we have three bonding molecular orbitals and three anti-bonding molecular orbitals. So 3 plus 3 makes 6. So atomic orbitals are equal to molecular orbitals. It means we are going in a right direction in order to explain bonding. Let now combine these two figures. And whenever we combine these two figures, so this is the collective figure of bonding representation in carbon monoxide. And now we have to explain further concepts on the basis of this combined orbital where S and P both are involved in bonding. And this concept we have to borrow a little bit from the valence bond theory, because in valence bond theory two subshells S and P are involved in bonding. In this case, now let S and P are involved in bonding, and we are borrowing the concept from valence bond theory and we are combining it with the overlapping of orbital or molecular orbital theory. So in both, combining both the cases in a little bit advanced form, which is this diagram. Now in this diagram we have arranged the number of electrons or electron pair as per our previous discussion. So here are uh, five pairs of electrons, and these pairs of electrons are in different orbitals. This is sigma bond, this one is sigma bond, these two are pi bonds, and this is sigma star bond. So this sigma bond is actually neutralized by sigma star bond, and they do nothing with the interaction because the bond order contributed by these two pairs is 0. But we need the energy of these electrons, because in coordination chemistry we will come across certain things that why or which electron pair is involved in bonding with metal center, and which orbital will get involved in bonding with the metal center, which inshallah we will come later on towards that. But this is the molecular orbital diagram of carbon monoxide, the in combined form. Now in this case you can see that this electron pair, if you look, this is closer to oxygen. It means the electronegativity of oxygen is more, and as per molecular orbital diagram rules we have to put those atoms which have high electronegativity lower in energy, and those which are lower in electronegativity they have a bit higher energy, or they are unstable as compared to the high electronegative element, so their energy is also represented qualitatively in that way that carbon is unstable comparative to oxygen. So this pair of electrons which is closer to oxygen, it means this orbit which is bonding molecular orbital or sigma bonding, it possesses more characters of oxygen while it is away from carbon, so it possesses less characters of carbon. It means this pair is actually polarized at oxygen, not at carbon. On the other hand, the counter orbital which is sigma star, so the pair of electron now is closer to carbon and is away from oxygen. It means this pair of electrons is polarized on carbon more than oxygen. So whenever we are talking about this pair of electrons, so this pair will be donated by carbon, not oxygen, and this pair belongs to oxygen, not to carbon. So whenever this pair is involved in bonding, so in this case the business will be from oxygen side, and if this electron pair is involved in any sort of bonding, so the business will be dealt by the carbon atom. Now, placing these orbitals in terms of energy, so in this direction the energy increases. And let's see the figure in another. This is taken actually from another book or from another source. So sometimes we have to place these pi orbitals lower than sigma and sometimes sigma lower than pi. But in different books you will find, or for different compounds you will find these energies in a different way. But any way what you are representing is okay. Normally what we do, if this sigma bond is lower in energy, its counter sigma star will have the same energy as compared to this one. Pi stars are unstable as compared to sigma. Pi are unstable as compared to sigma, so pi star will be highest in energy based on the counter orbitals. Now in this case, the energy increases in this direction and we have to arrange these orbitals in terms of energy. So here this is the orbital, or we have to categorize these orbitals in two broad categories. These are orbitals which are occupied orbitals, and here are orbitals which are unoccupied orbitals. So in terms of theoretical or DFT concepts, these orbitals are called highest occupied molecular orbitals. Sorry, these are called occupied molecular orbitals and they are unoccupied molecular orbitals. So the orbital which is highest in energy, this will be called as highest occupied molecular orbital, and normally it is designated as HOMO, HOMO, HOMO. The one which is lowest in energy and has no electrons, they are called LOMO. So LOMO means lowest unoccupied molecular orbital. So whenever we are talking about bonding, any business take place with carbon monoxide. So these two types of orbitals will be involved in that sort of business. One will be HOMO and the other one will be LOMO. So HOMO is the orbital which is occupied or which is completely filled, which contains at least a pair of electrons. So this pair of electron, normally what we can say that this electron would be donated to any suitable species. And the one which is called LOMO, lowest unoccupied molecular orbital. So lowest unoccupied means this orbital is empty. And with empty orbital, whenever it participates in any sort of business, it means it will accept electrons from any foreign source or foreign element that is normally metal. So this pair of electron is now available for bonding with metal center, and these type of orbitals were sigma or pi, but lowest unoccupied molecular orbital, they are available now to accept electrons from any suitable source or from any appropriate species if that species possess certain pairs of electrons. Now coming a little bit forward toward other concepts. So diagrammatically we can represent the bonding in carbon monoxide. that this is the sigma bond between oxygen and carbon. Here two are pi bonds between carbon and oxygen, and two pairs which were located in sp hybrid orbital according to valence bond theory. So with each carbon and oxygen they possess a pair of electrons in sp orbital or sp hybrid orbital. Now, this pair is available for bonding and this pair is available for bonding, but we have to decide that which pair is easily available, and carbon monoxide, how carbon monoxide will be able or would offer its pair of electrons either on carbon or oxygen, which one is susceptible. So this also we have to explain in further lectures on the basis of molecular orbital diagram. This is another sort of representation of bonding, where now we have represented these orbitals or overlapped orbitals by these lines which normally we represent in text. So the bond between carbon and oxygen is triple, and these are actually the anti-bonding molecular orbitals. So bonding molecular orbitals and anti-bonding molecular orbitals, and the difference between bonding and anti-bonding molecular orbital is that their orientation is in opposite direction with respect to each other. So overlapping between these orbitals is not possible between these two species, and that's why they discourage the bonding between these two species. So but they are still important and they will participate in secondary bonding if this carbon monoxide molecule acts as a ligand. Let this is metal, and with metal generally we know that metal possesses d orbital. So for simplicity I have represented only a lobe of d orbital, and again an sp lobe of metal which is capable of overlapping or which is in proper orientation with carbon monoxide. Now let this is metal. Metal possesses empty orbitals. This is carbon monoxide possesses electron pairs. So carbon monoxide it interacts with metal center through carbon, not through oxygen. And inshallah, in next discussion, I will also discuss that why it interacts through carbon, not through oxygen. And this is absolute phenomena for carbon monoxide. That no case where metal has been attached to oxygen through oxygen has not been reported yet. So whenever this metal come closer to carbon monoxide, so these two lobes are now appropriate and to overlap with each other, where this is d orbit and this is sp of carbon monoxide, and as a result of dsp overlapping, a sigma bond will form between metal and carbon monoxide. Let's bring the metal a bit more closer to carbon. So these lobes are now appropriate to overlap with each other, and if you remember these lobes, so this is again d orbital, d subshell of metal, and here this is the anti-bonding molecular orbital of carbon monoxide. So anti-bonding molecular orbital is now appropriate in terms of energy and in terms of orientation, so they can overlap. And now the situation will depend upon the occupancy of these orbitals, because this we know this orbital is completely empty because this is LOMO of carbon monoxide. And here depends upon the nature of metal. If metal is electron rich, so there will be electrons in d orbital of metal which is capable to overlap with anti-bonding molecular orbital of carbon monoxide. And if metal is electron deficient, then there will be no need or there will be no advantage of overlapping of these two lobes. So now the metal and carbon monoxide, they are capable to overlap with each other, and at least one sigma bond is possible in any situation with the metal center. And the pi bond, which is a secondary bond, which is additional bond, it depends upon the nature of metal. If metal is electron rich, then carbon monoxide will be capable to accept electron from metal. And this type of bonding, where carbon monoxide is capable to donate electron through sigma bond but accepts electrons through pi bond, this is called actually back bonding or synergism. And this synergism or back bonding, on the basis of this, The carbon monoxide ligand, or the title of the chapter is pi acceptor ligand. So it means carbon monoxide is pi acceptor because it donates electron through sigma bond, but it accepts electron through